Sethu resident of San Diego, California. I'm the founder and the director of Dr. Sethu Foundation, focusing on supporting community members on education and health related topics. Today I have the privilege of meeting with Anil Srivatsa from Bangalore, India. Welcome.
Thank you, Sethu, for having me on.
Thank you. And we had a good breakfast, and we thought we'd meet some time this morning. And he's been traveling from India to different countries. He's a kidney organ donor. He donated his one kidney to his brother, and his message is to communicate this to all the members around the world and answer the questions and take out the myth of whether to donate or how to donate, and providing all that information. He has already gone through 43 countries driving in his own car, and he has spoken to over 72,000 people across these different countries. And now he is on his way to Argentina, South America, and to beyond Africa. And he's just happened to be passing through San Diego this morning. And we thought this is a good time to spend some time to talk about this topic. And we would like to capture the essence of his message to the community and share with the world of the importance of donating the organ and presenting this information to the public media. So hope you enjoy and also get this information to share with others. So good morning, Anil.
Well, thank you for doing this.
Thank you. So when I look at the information of how you have covered in the public media so far, and also on a day-to-day basis traveling to these different countries and sending the message, what would you like to share with our audience on the journey you have taken? What made you to donate your kidney? Who did you donate to? And then from then on, how you're taking this message to different countries, driving in your own car. How do you think that's going to help our community?
Well, I think the first myth to bust is things can happen to anybody. Because we usually feel we're superhuman and nothing is going to happen to us. It only happens to other people, and we're always sad or empathetic or sympathetic to other people when they have health misfortunes or other things that happen to them, because we feel that nothing's going to happen to us, right? We don't wish anything on ourselves. As long as it doesn't happen to us, we're happy to help other people. So the day it happens to us, and it could, I hope it never does, but when it does, do you have the information? Do you have the strength to deal with it? And the strength comes from information. If the information is half that strength, then turns into something called fear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, along those points, my daughter and I have spent a lot of time in the community encouraging our Asians to register in the bone marrow registry, because much information is not there.
And the problem is not just information. Now see, we'll come back to bone marrow, because when I speak to what I went through, I think it covers anybody for any registration of any organ or tissue, where bone marrow is the tissue side. Mm-hmm. So things hit home in my home as well. Okay, mm-hmm. The last thing I would expect is my brother to come and tell me, or anybody in the family to come and talk about a disease that could potentially be life-threatening. And my brother, he's a neurosurgeon in Bangalore, came to me and said he wanted to see if I would give him my kidney. And that's when it hit home. I'm like, why would you ask me for your kidney? Nothing can happen to you. You're saving lives, you're a doctor. Mm-hmm. How can you be sick? But then he's human first. And he did have kidney failure. And that's when things started to go I wouldn't say go wrong, but go down the scary path. Mm-hmm. Because suddenly you're faced with the mortality of somebody you love. And what do you do? How much information do you have? Can you do what it takes to save that person? So saying yes to him was easy, but going through with it was not. You know, because when you suddenly realize you're a healthy human being, and if you match with him, it means that you're fit medically, and now a fit human being having to take one body part out of you to give it to somebody you really love is great. I mean, that's a true testament of love. It's good. But then how does my body react to it after?
Right.
It may give him life, but how will my life change?
Right.
And that's where the real fear begins, and that's why I see there's over 1 million people on dialysis. It's not because they don't have enough love in the family.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably they have a lot of love which is cloaked in fear, that does not allow that love to pass through and make this work to save a life.
So it has to be first, you have to be willing to do it, and you have to be a loving person.
Well, yeah, organ donation is an act of love.
No,
there is
yeah.
no question about it being any other way.
Mm-hmm.
No, that love can be a cosmic universal love for humanity or being humane,
Yeah.
or it could be love for that individual where you want to do whatever it takes to save that person's life. So it's not an easy thing to do, and at least that's what I thought.
Mm-hmm.
But I went through with it. I had a lot of resistance in the form of the law, family, and the family actually took the law into their favor, and it came to become a challenge for me to go through with it.
Yeah.
And these laws are something that I wasn't familiar with, and that's another thing I want to talk about. So essentially what happened is, if you want to really go through with that love, you've got to pass some tests.
Right.
Not that you're asked to, but the system is riddled with it, that you have to
recently,
pass it.
Yeah, recently, I want to just mention this. One of my close friends, his son got ill, and they had to go through finding a match.
Mm-hmm.
First they had to go with the immediate family members and then friends. So it's not just that somebody is willing to help, that matching is a big deal, right?
Well, yeah, matching is it's a matter of luck, okay?
Yeah.
But to get those people to even agree for a test,
First, yeah.
that's the challenge.
Right.
So when I stepped forward, the doctors asked me if I really wanted to give the kidney, and they gave me an out. All right, they said, okay, if you want to continue maintaining a relationship with your brother, and you still want to say no, then tell us, we'll find a way to medically make you unfit.
Right. Politically right.
They gave me a reason to get out.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I'm sure at this stage, a lot of people get out.
Yeah.
They take it so that they don't have to mess up a relationship,
Right.
but they still, don't want to do it
Right.
because of that fear.
Yeah, I understand the challenge. When we were trying to motivate our local community members to sign up for this Asia donor registry, because we don't have that many.
Yeah, for the bone marrow.
Bone marrow, we
Yeah.
were motivating, and a lot of people were hesitant because number one, they didn't know the responsibility, right? When they sign up, they are responsible. If they find a match, they have to.
And nobody talks about the last mile, and that's really where I'm coming through. So anyway, I passed that test, and I told the doctors, oh, look, I don't care, I want to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And then comes the other test. In India specifically, the law is a little different. Okay, so even if I want to give my kidney, unlike in America, if somebody chooses to give a kidney, they can give it to a stranger if they want. In India, it's not that. You can't give it to a stranger, first of all. And even if you give it to my brother, my wife has to consent. Right? You don't have that problem here, but there, the wife has to consent, or the spouse, and it happened to be my wife here.
Right.
And when she got the right, she was scared. She said, Anil, I don't want to sign. Because if something happened to you, I will have to live with that for the rest of my life, because I just signed your death warrant. So if you can do this without my signature, please go ahead.
Yeah.
But I don't want to sign. But the law wouldn't take it without her signature.
Right.
And she said no. And again, there a lot of people take the out. I could have easily gone to my brother and said, listen, I'd love to give you my kidney, but it's not working out.
So in your case, because you were older, you had to take the permission from your spouse. But if the kids like below 18 years,
Well, they won't. They don't take kidneys from kids.
Okay, so
Right.
you have to be at a certain age.
Well, 18 and up.
18 and up.
In adult. However, it was my children who changed my wife's mind, because my wife was afraid for the children, saying that if something happened to me, what would they, how would their life turn out? Because I was the only breadwinner in the family, and her fears were legitimate, so I can't even fault her for it. And the children actually changed her mind, and they told the mom that, listen, there's no need to be afraid because we're not afraid. So my wife thought, hey, why not? If the children aren't afraid, then why am I afraid? And so it turned out, then she signed up. But that is again a space where people walk away from this. They succumb to their fears, find a great reason, and walk away. And these systems come into play when, that's why I said love is tested at every stage. Right? My love obviously passed the second test too, thanks to my family support. And it's important to have this discussion in the home. And so that's where I realized that if I can do something, after I did this, I did the act, I gave my kidney, my brother's fine, saving more lives on the operating table now.
He's a neurosurgeon.
He's a neurosurgeon in Bangalore.
Okay.
So a question came to mind, why are so many people still on dialysis? Why don't more people do this for their family? This was after I did it.
Mm-hmm.
Now I know.
Dialysis, is that the time when they are in kind of the waiting list?
Well, some people just don't get it and they're on it forever.
They're on it forever.
And that's not a way to live. It's just a means to stay alive.
Yeah.
Hooked up to a machine to clean your blood every other day is not the ideal life, frankly. And even for any family member to watch their loved ones go through it is painful. And yet they're on it because nobody came forward to give a kidney. And I figured fear was the reason. I derived the strength from 2 or 3 people that I had talked to who had given a kidney. And I thought maybe this is the purpose of my life going forward, is if I can be the strength for 1 million people, then let me go to the people. If the people don't come to me, I will go to the people and tell them my story and give them the assurance that generally life after donating a kidney can be extraordinary, not just normal.
No.
Okay, I am actually at my best health right now, and because I guess subconsciously I'm taking care of myself better.
Mm-hmm.
I have no restrictions whatsoever of anything.
So how long was the process, going through like after match, donating and then coming back to your normal day-to-day activities?
It could be as quick as a month.
Okay.
In my case, it was about that. But the testing and the matching takes a few months, right? Again, that's based on the tests and the results that have to come back because they have to go sent somewhere. I mean, those are procedures. But from the time my wife signed consent to the time we did it, it was less than a month. Because by the time we'd done the tests, so it took us not much time. And that is what took me out of my house, and once a year, about 5 months or 6 months in a year, I drive regions of the world in my own car. I ship my car to wherever it needs to go, and I go to the grassroots, people organize talks for me, people come forward to take my message like you've just done to the people that you know through this medium, and I appreciate that. And that's the story I want to tell, is to tell people in a nutshell not to be afraid and let love win, because love is what makes this world go around. At some point you're in it's probably your karma that you've been in a position to give somebody life.
So you're taking this message to, you said 43 countries, talking
so
to
far
70,000 people. Can you touch on like 1 or 2 instances where the reaction you had with the local people, how they took the message, and have you seen any major impact to your mission?
Well, see, the message is obviously very well taken. As I speak, I've done over 250 talks. So as I talk more and more, I get better and better at it. And I hear a lot of questions. I incorporate the answers before the questions even show up. And when I see the result that you talked about, and what is that result? I'll give you, there are 4 instances, and one of them is a story where from my audience, somebody stood up and said, listen, I want to give a kidney to somebody and save their life. And I'm like, wow, great, that's really nice. Who would you like to give it to? So, well, I don't know. I'd like to just give it to somebody who needs it, a stranger. And 4 of them have tested to give to a stranger. I think that's just next level commitment to humanity. I mean, me, it was love for my brother, but to be able to display your love for humanity, which is at a higher plane than any other love, I think that is amazing. And for me, even that is worth going out and finding more people like that. And I've been able to, through my foundation, do something in the courts, in the Karnataka High Court, and there are some procedures for the transplant approval committees that are very archaic and very time consuming, where a lot of patients don't want to bother with it, and they just rather succumb to their fate, which is unfair. And so I'm fighting a few cases, PIL cases in the High Court. We won 2 cases and were able to successfully get 2 people transplants. Now, but in the meanwhile, it's also presented a case law where future patients in the same situation are now able to get approvals faster because there is a precedent in the courts. So this is the kind of scale impact I want this to do, and I think a lot of people have understood. Now, see, a lot of people have misconceptions about post-death organ donation. See, this is a live organ donation situation where people want to save somebody they love while they're alive, and that's the only way they can do it. But organ donation as a concept, where you donate an organ before you're cremated, that is something most people are resistant to. And that is because of a lot of myths that they believe to be true. And again, to me, I believe myths have were born from needing valid reasons to say no to certain things.
Yeah, but also, when you look at Indian mythology or scriptures, in some instances they have said, when you pass away, the whole body has to be intact. There are some reference to those type of things, which probably that's where the background comes from.
No, so let's again, that's another reason to say no. Those scriptures, and nowhere in the scriptures it says it. I'd like to have somebody prove it to me, show it to me. Right? I believe that is some myth that was born from the fear, and fear then translated to finding a valid reason to say no, which wanted to gain some credibility. And it's easy to say scriptures. Where in the scriptures? Did you see it? Or did someone tell you? Did they see it? Somebody show it to me. And let's talk about scriptures. We pray to Lord Ganesh. To me, he's the first recipient of an organ. What scriptures are we talking about? What's good for Ganesh should be good for humans too. Right? Maybe that's why he did that. Maybe that's his karma, and that was the elephant's karma, to have been killed. And unfortunately, this was no donation for Ganesh. Right? It was murder. But maybe it was the karma, and that's how that karma was coming back in the form of Ganesh. And now Ganesh is the Vignaharta. Maybe that's the redemption for Ganesh himself, for I've taken this head from an elephant, now let me be the remover of obstacles, because this elephant gave me the life that I wouldn't have otherwise had.
So, some people may have that misconception, or it's been in the culture, but that's the thing you're trying to say.
But unquestioned.
Unquestioned, yeah. We have to question and
because when you say that,
that,
when you say that there's a connection of the Atma to the body, what connection? Because if the connection exists, then you wouldn't be burning your body.
Right.
You'll be keeping that body for 13 days till the Atma goes into Vaikuntha. But you're not doing that. So you can't say that. However, when you burn the body, the ashes are thrown away into the wind or into the water. What is the significance of it? It is bringing the body back and putting it back into the universe, right? What if my eyes go to somebody? It's the same thing. It's going to the universe. It's going to somebody who's using it. And the rest of the body can still be in ashes. But the fact is, we are dispersing our body back into the universe after we've consumed this life. And so if my eyes can go to 6 people, if my bone can go to somebody who's battling bone cancer, if my skin can go to somebody who's battling a burn, incident, it is my body going back into the universe, isn't it?
Right.
It's the same.
It's how you.
It's the same concept.
Concept, yeah. So when you talk about donation, right? Now, what are the different organs? Like in your case, it was kidney. What
Well,
are the
there are
organs?
two kinds of organ donations. One is a live organ donation and one is after death.
Mhm.
And the live organ donation has two parts themselves. One is when you're alive and one is when you're brain dead, where your body is kept alive.
Mhm.
Because your brain's dead, your body is kept alive with a ventilator. And in that situation, you can donate about 7 or 8 organs of yours and up to 30 tissues. So you're affecting almost 72 million lives, 72 lives, and a ripple effect of another 5,000 lives
Mhm.
that are connected to those 72 lives.
Right.
All right. So in your brain dead situation, you can give your heart, your lung, things that you won't need when you're alive.
Okay. Okay.
Correct. Your pancreas, your kidney, your eyes, your skin, your bones, your kneecaps.
But
But
usually
That's brain dead.
Yeah.
But when it's live organ donation, you can only give 2.
Okay.
That's your kidney and your liver.
Kidney and liver. Okay.
So you can live off of 1 kidney, and that's the example I'm setting for myself to show people, look at me.
Right.
Okay, at 51 now, I'm still running a 100-meter sprint less than 14 seconds.
And you recently won a gold.
I recently won a gold at the World Transplant Games, and I'm a world record holder. I'm a better athlete today than I used to be before I gave my 1 kidney. And I'm doing all of this just to show them not to be afraid.
Yeah. You can be a normal human
You can
being.
be
You don't
more.
have to-
It's extraordinary. I'm living 2 lives now,
Yeah.
not 1.
Yeah.
Right? I have my brother with me, and when I have no restrictions, right? I eat, drink, whatever I want to, just like I used to before. So that's the example I want to give from a live organ donation perspective. In fact, some people are born with 1 kidney naturally. So nature also knows that 1 was
It can-
enough.
Yeah.
And when I have a kidney problem, God forbid, and I need a kidney now that I've given away 1,
Right.
the law supports people like me. I get put on the top of the waiting list. So the first kidney
Become a
available
friend.
that's matching mine becomes available to me.
Okay.
So I'm fine. On the other hand, if you think about donating your organs post your death, you've got to know a few things. If you're in India, you should understand that you do not have the right to your body by law.
No.
Your next of kin decides whether you can be an organ donor or not, regardless of your wishes. So if my parent, and I'm talking to those who have parents who are at that age where they may have very few years left, and I hope they go as long as they can, but nature is going to have it that the parents will go before the child.
No.
And when that happens, you as the child have the right to do the right thing by putting their organs back into the universe, and it could just be in the service of humanity, and the rest of it can go back as ashes. There's nothing wrong with that concept, so please consider that. Right? I'm not telling you what to do, but you have to understand that's the law in India. But when you come back in America, the law is very individualistic. However, the only way to navigate the last mile, there are a lot of people who say, I've signed up and I have a driver's license that says I'm an organ donor. But it's not magic after that.
Right.
It's not going to magically happen just because you've signed. There is a secret sauce. There is a big secret that nobody talks about. How do you make that last mile happen?
Right.
It's having a conversation at home and telling your family about your intent to be an organ donor. Because they are the ones who have to make the call. They have to go and tell the coroner. They have to tell the funeral home. They have to tell somebody that, hey, this person, my father, my mother, wants to be an organ donor. Until that happens, it doesn't matter where you sign up.
Right. Yeah, I remember what I heard in Karnataka. We did not have a lot of people who sign up for organ donation, but when our famous Kannada movie actor Rajkumar and then also Lankesh, when they came out public and when they decided to donate their organs, they also publicized, they had a nice commercial, and after that, my understanding is a lot of people are going there and registering
Well, see,
in the hospital.
Sethu, that's the problem. Registering in India is not legally acceptable, and nobody's telling you that.
Okay.
Because even if I register and my family member has no clue or doesn't want to, my family member has the right. It doesn't matter what my will is.
Okay.
Any signature there, any form filling has no legal sanctity, unlike in America. They've just transposed the concept into India, but the laws don't support it there, while the laws here support it. So you have to understand, there's where I'm going. You may have 1,000 organ donors, but the actual conversion may be 1 or 2. That's a small number.
Small number.
Because they don't know that they have to have this conversation at home. And our community, especially Indians, we don't want to talk about death at home.
Right.
So where is the conversation of organ donation happening?
Right. They're not even getting
They're not
to
even
that
aware of it.
Right.
So there's no point signing up and being silent.
Yeah.
I'd rather you just have the conversation and not sign up because somebody in their home is going to do
Make
it.
a decision. Yeah. Good point. So now it's wonderful that you went through this. It was a successful transfer, and then now you are taking the message to the world, driving. A lot of people, including myself, have the goal and sometimes the passion to leave what we are doing and go out and do and follow our goal, our ambition.
Well,
but how do you manage, taking time away from the family, and then you have 2 kids, you have to manage their expenses, and you're traveling all over the world. There's a lot of expense to that. So how do you fund all this? And I'm sure a lot of our audience wants to know, how do you leave from what you're doing and still manage the family and then go do this good service to the
Well, I'm
community?
fortunate enough that we've raised our kids to a point of being open to the idea of being of service to other people. So I found a purpose in my life, and the purpose is not me. And so for me to do it for other people, I derive the strength from the universe, and I derive the strength from individuals who contribute to my cause. So I've crowdfunded this whole thing. If you see my t-shirt, these are the sponsors of the corporate sponsors I have. They take care of my hard costs of the vehicle itself, which is pretty expensive. But the day-to-day gas money, food, see, we live in our car. My wife and I travel together. We live in the car, we cook in the car. We try and keep our expenses as low as we can. And it's just funny that there are lots of byproducts to what I'm doing. On a spiritual level, driving these long distances gives me a lot of time to think and contemplate. It also gives me a sense of how happy somebody can be with very little in their life. Because we live in that car, that's our home. And we don't miss our big home and whatever it is that we have. It's something that, I'm amazed at my own personal growth, but however, the reason I'm driving is the same reason somebody runs a marathon for a cause.
Right.
Or somebody who pours ice bucket water on themselves to bring attention to a cause.
Right.
So I drive, and it allows me to get to meet people in places that otherwise don't get a chance to understand what organ donation is. From highway to highway is different from airport to airport. The people who live off highways who live between airports are different. It allows me to get down to the grassroots. It allows me to seem interesting, where a lot of people then want to talk to me because of the fact that I've traveled so much.
Right.
So give me a platform like you. Now, you've thought I was interesting enough to give me this platform.
Right.
So
it's community.
no. That's the point. Is I've chosen this route. Now I could have run a marathon, but lots of people do that. It's not unique enough for someone to say, "Hey, let's talk to him."
Yeah.
So what I'm doing, more people have climbed Mount Everest than doing what I'm doing.
Right.
That's how unique it is.
Yes, right.
So because it's unique, it puts people, it gives the media a thing to talk about. If I can inspire other people to go find a purpose of their life, if you're very filmy, so I'm like the Shah Rukh Khan in the Swadesh film. Like I've found my light bulb to turn on.
No, that's the key, right? People have to find their own passion. Now we do, as part of our Dr. Sethu Foundation, we train people every year, and then we go hike in the Himalayas. We also work with different families in the community. They could be cancer patients, they could be,
Like a
having
support
other
system, yeah.
support system, right? We have built in the community, and working full time, and then being, taking care of the family, and also doing in our free time, just to kind of follow through that passion. It gives a lot of satisfaction,
Joy,
happiness, joy, all that. But in your case, you are doing much more than that. You are reaching out to thousands of people. You are also taking this almost like a full time.
What is a life worth, Sethu?
Right.
How much is a life worth?
Yeah.
So just to give you the mathematics in this whole thing, when I crowdfund, in fact, please, if you feel like you believe in the things I'm doing, help me, support me. It doesn't matter how much you want to give, but whatever you give will be taken in for that cause. I need a total. I have a GoFundMe page.
Okay.
My website is giftoflifeadventure.com.
Okay.
So it's Gift of Life Adventure. Even on Facebook, it's the same thing. Gift of Life Adventure. Instagram, YouTube. I have a YouTube channel which outlines some of our experiences in our travels. So I'm seeking about $25,000, and this is essentially for gas money, food, because I'm traveling about 55,000 kilometers just in North and South America. And if you look at, it's easy math. You have X amount of money a day assigned for food or for a hotel night stay once in a while. It depends on the weather. I may want to, or if it's not a safe area, then I may want to get into a hotel and not be out in the open. So all of these things, and if I've saved about 4 lives or 10 lives,
Right.
that's $2,500 per life. If you want to put a value on life, I mean, frankly, putting a value on life is ludicrous. But if you have to look at the cost-benefit analysis, I think it's well worth it.
Yeah, I agree. So now you've found the passion, and you see this as the most important thing in life. Particularly in your life, you have a mission to do that. So what is your pointers to the families who are thinking of, hey, I have this passion, I want to follow through? How do they make it happen? If you have 1 or 2 points of how do you go from point A to point B? Because everybody, at least the people who I know, have that question of how do I shift to that?
See, the first time, this thought occurred to me for driving for organ donation was in 2016 when I drove from Bangalore to Scotland. It took us 74 days. And in this case, I took my kids with me as well. I started looking for sponsors. I got some. In fact, Gulf and Sanjeev Kapoor are my consistent sponsors, and Radio Wala, of course. However, I decided I had one apartment that we had, bought, other than the house we live in. So I decided that apartment is being of use to nobody in the family. So I ended up selling it. Used that money to pay for that trip, a big part of that trip. And I told my children, listen, I'm going to be spending your inheritance. I hope this education is going to, and this education in goodness and goodwill and doing good for other people is the best wealth I can give you. And that was it. So since then, I continued with it, and some of the people that I reached out to fund me saw the work that I did. See, it's important to establish credibility. The fact that I've given my kidney is a big advantage for me, right? Because I can speak to it from my own experience.
Right. And that's where the passion comes from.
Okay,
right?
and that's what drives you, of course.
Right.
And other than that, you've got to be sincere in what you do and be able to package and show people what you're doing.
Yeah, they have to see that the good work is being put, and also at the same
because
time.
when I drive, Sethu, when I drive, I'm very cognizant of the fact that I am not a tourist.
Yeah.
Right? Sometimes my wife says, because even if I'm driving past a very well-known tourist site, if I'm even 10 kilometers from it, I won't go there.
Yeah. That's not your.
That's not the purpose of this trip.
Right.
While it's okay, nobody's going to complain or even question if I did.
Yeah.
But somewhere,
It's the internal.
I have to justify to myself
Right.
that I cannot do that.
That's where the people.
I mean, there are times when I will do it.
Yeah.
When I feel, for example, if I've done 10 talks, then I believed I've done the day off and I can do it.
Yeah.
But if I've done 1 talk, I don't find the justification.
Yeah. So the message is, yes, you can take on this journey, but remember, you cannot continue to live the way you lived before and venture out on your passion. You cannot have the expenses to the same degree.
If I had the financial power
you could
to do this, I could.
Yeah.
But I don't, because see, like I said, there are many side stories to this. The other thing that's happening to me because I'm crowdfunding.
Yeah.
This is not the purpose of my going, but this is an effect. One of the effects of my driving is I'm going from not liking humiliation to loving humility.
Yeah.
When I have to literally beg, in the old days the Rishi Munis would go about seeking their enlightenment by doing Bhavati Bhikshandehi.
Right.
Right? There's a lot of people who go to Shabarimala saying that I will go with the money I beg on the streets with. That's nothing but trying to shatter your ego.
Yeah. Right.
And when your ego is out of yourself,
Then there's no.
there's nothing that will stop you.
Right.
And to me, this crowdfunding has become that part. You know, like if you know, I've had a nice corporate career, which I let go.
Yeah.
To continue spending time here. And you carry that ego with you, saying that I've achieved, I'm this, you're a legend in your own mind. And today, I'm just me. I'm just me. No legend. You're only as good as your last game, and this is my last game. I want to be good at doing this. And that's the side effect of what happened. And that ego is the one that keeps us from achieving our oneness with the universe.
Great. Thank you for sharing this information.
For your time.
This is good. So for our audience, just share again, if they are willing to support your cause, just mention your...
If you're willing to support my cause, please do contribute. I have a GoFundMe page. If you search for Giftoflifeadventure on the GoFundMe.com page, I'll pop up. Or if you go to the my Facebook page of Giftoflifeadventure, there's a fundraiser on Facebook. I have a PayPal
and also,
account.
when you visit different countries, different towns, you have some talks you're giving.
Yeah.
They can attend,
In fact, if you're able to organize some talks for me, right now I'm going to be going to Texas before I exit into Mexico. But in Dallas, Houston, Austin, San Antonio, if you're willing to organize talks for me, I'd be happy to swing by and do this.
Thank you again. Today is October 28th, 2019. It was a pleasure meeting you.
Thank you, Sethu,
hopefully what we discussed is going to help a lot of the members to get a better understanding of organ donation. And feel free to reach out to Anil Srivatsa if you have any more information. And I can
please give me a link to this so I can put it on my page as well.
Sure, definitely. Thank you all for watching. Have a nice day.
Bye-bye.